Good morning. He was the man who was going to wake up the sleeping giant, to shake the club by its foundations and bring back the glory days to Newcastle United. But after just 8 months and 24 games in charge, Sam Allardyce has left St James's Park with mutual consent, with fans increasingly frustrated by a string of lacklustre performances that culminated in the goalless draw against Stoke in the FA Cup on Sunday. Ashley ended Allardyce's reign. Newcastle will now go in search for their 8th manager in 11 years, and Harry Redknapp is now the hot favourite to take over. Well, let's live now to Newcastle and speak to our correspondent there, Fiona. Fiona, what has been the reaction there this morning?
Fans still reeling from the announcement last night, not necessarily because it was a surprise. They were expecting it, of course, but it was the timing of it before Manchester United on Saturday, before the Stoke replay as well. Let's speak now to fanzine editor Steve Wraith. Do you think, to an extent, though, Steve, that the fans are to blame for this? Newcastle United is very special, a lot of expectation here. Mike Ashley, the owner, sits amongst the fans at matches. He hears what they have to say as well.
I certainly don't think the fans are to blame. I mean, the expectancy level here is very, very high for any manager that takes the job. But the fans have been very patient here over the years, you know. No FA Cup final win since 1955, no European Cup since 1969. And it's, you know, it is a job which requires somebody who has a lot of experience, but I do think the fans have been very patient here, and I do think it's a bit too much to, you know, label the fans to blame.
OK, we've heard just now that Harry Redknapp this morning, the favourite to take over at the club. We have heard a rumour this morning on the ground here at Newcastle that he has been offered it, but has refused it. Is he the man for the job?
I personally wouldn't want to see Harry Redknapp take the job at Newcastle United. I think it requires somebody with a lot of local knowledge, a bit of local passion, but
Alan Shearer.
Most importantly, somebody with local respect. You look in the past, we've had Joe Harvey, we've had, you know, Kevin Keegan and Bobby Robson. So Bobby Robson, and those three know what the area is all about, got local connections, and, you know, done well at the club in the past. The likes of Kevin Keegan, Joe Harvey. Alan Shearer, yeah, he would be welcome with open arms here, but, you know, again, he's already come out and said that he doesn't really want the job. But I would like to see, you know, somebody come in who has a connection with the fans.
Steve Wraith, thanks very much for joining us this morning. And of course, as I said just there a few moments ago, Manchester United is their next game away on Saturday. Nigel Pearson, first team coach, will be heading the team for that match. Back to you, Chris.
Fiona Trott, thank you very much indeed.
Hello and welcome to the late edition of North East Tonight. Newcastle United are this evening searching for a new manager after the shock departure of Sam Allardyce. The club announced earlier this evening that Big Sam had left St James's Park by mutual agreement. Simon O'Rourke reports.
Just after 1 o'clock this afternoon, Sam Allardyce was all smiles as he sat down to talk about Newcastle's trip to Manchester United at the weekend and the transfer targets he hoped to pursue during the January window. He certainly didn't seem like a man in danger of losing his job. But less than 5 hours later, the club issued a statement saying that Big Sam was out. Chairman Chris Mort said they thanked him for his efforts and wished him well for the future. Allardyce said he was sad to be leaving and he wished the club all the best.
I am shocked. You know, a few people are saying, yeah, you must have expected it, but no, I thought he would have been given a lot more time. You know, people are asking me, you know, why now and everything else. You know, maybe look at the transfer window. If the chairman's not happy with the manager, you know, is he going to give him plenty of millions and then think, well, I've wasted all that?
I don't think it's a shock that Sam Allardyce is gone, but it's certainly a shock at the timing. You know, Sam Allardyce has a press conference. You know, everyone thinks that, you know, everything in the garden's rosy, and then, you know, Tyne comes and he's gone, and it's very, very strange. Typical Newcastle United.
The news came out just in time to set the airwaves buzzing on Century Radio's Legends football phone-in.
I have to be honest, I was quite shocked. I believed for about 3 months that that things weren't working out. He's never looked comfortable, Sam, in all that he's been doing. He's another man's appointment. He's not Mike Ashley's appointment. That is a major factor in it all.
So ultimately it seems that the billionaire who wears the replica strip has been listening to the fans he sits with on match days, because not many of them were sad to see Big Sam go tonight.
So Allardyce wasn't the man. Oh, not at all. His face didn't fit, you know, simple as that. I think they need to learn that they need to spend the money in order to make the money. We need a top class manager.
Don't think it was everyone's choice, but we were, I think, most people prepared to stay at the end of the season.
Well, it's obvious. As soon as we'll start losing about 5-6 games, then that's it. He's gone, isn't he?
Well, the big question the fans are asking tonight is who's next in the Newcastle hot seat? Could it be the man who has a bar named after him in the Gallagher end at St James's Park? Alan Shearer is among the bookmakers' favourites, but there's a feeling that the owners are looking for a more experienced man. If that's the case, then the fans' choice would be former Chelsea boss Jose Mourinho, even though he's not available till the summer. For now, first-team coach Nigel Pearson will be in charge for Saturday's trip to Manchester United. It seemed like a marriage made in heaven, the experienced manager looking for a big club and the big club who needed a strong manager. But in reality, it hasn't really worked. Sam Allardyce never won over the fans and, crucially, never gained the trust of the owner, who didn't appoint him. When he arrived, Big Sam said he needed time to turn Newcastle around. But today, Newcastle said, time's up. Simon O'Rourke, ITV Tyne Tees, St James's Park.
Well, we've had dozens of emails and text messages from you giving your reaction to the news this evening, and here are just a few of them. Sandra Dawson emailed us to say, I think Newcastle never give the manager a chance to turn things around. The Newcastle
Tonight, a nightclub doorman who has looked after many Premier League stars has today told Total Sports News he believes there is a new breed of player causing trouble off the pitch and embarrassing their clubs.
Yeah, Steve Wraith managed the doors for pubs and clubs in Newcastle for over a decade and says the players need to learn how to behave in public. David Warrener reports.
Getting ready for the job which has seen him come into contact with stars from across the sporting map. For the last 15 years, Steve Wraith has mixed with some of the biggest names in North East and world sport.
It's an A to Z of footballers over the years. You know, I've looked after, you know, the promotion team from, you know, 92, 93, the likes of, you know, Barry Venison, you know, Paul Bracewell, you know, Alan Shearer, people like that have come down into the different venues that I've worked at.
Many of the players he meets do toe the line, but he believes others are letting the fans down.
Some great players at Newcastle United. At the moment, you've got the likes of Peter Ramage, you've got the likes of Stephen Taylor, Shea Given, wonderful ambassadors for the game, wonderful ambassadors for the club. But on the other side, you have players who do let the club down with their antics, you know, off the pitch.
Controversy does seem to follow Newcastle around. Midfielder Joey Barton was remanded in custody over the new year, charged with common assault and affray after an incident over the Christmas period in Liverpool. It left Sam Allardyce without his services in the 2-1 defeat at Chelsea and under more pressure. However, Steve, who is also editor of North East football magazine Players Inc., believe he should get more time to turn the team around.
I think it's very hazy at the moment. You know, me personally, I always think, you know, with me head and not with me heart. My head says that we should keep a hold of Sam until the end of the season. He's made a lot of changes. He's brought in a lot of backroom staff. He's made a lot of important changes. He's changed the whole outlook of the club. But on the other side of it, you know, results are what managers get judged on, and Sam, I'm sure, would tell you that himself.
Allardyce will be hoping those fortunes change with the visit of Manchester City on January the 2nd, and that the new year brings no further problems. David Warrener, Setanta Sports News, Gateshead.
No points for Sam Allardyce this Christmas, and the fans are unsettled. But the chairman's backing the manager, who must be praying for a win against Man City at St James's Park tonight. And Sunderland's victory over Bolton's given Roy Keane's men the lift they need to try to win their first away-from-home game at Blackburn tonight. So, plenty at stake. We asked two fanzine editors to look ahead to tonight and beyond.
It's a very important game for Newcastle United. I think at the moment, every game is important for Newcastle United. There's certainly a black cloud hanging over St James's Park, but there has been for the last couple of seasons. We need an early goal. I think we can go on to win this game. Both teams like to play attacking football when they're at their best, and you know, Sam Allardyce, I think he'll get it right, but he's got to be given the time.
Well, I wasn't really looking forward to it, but since we beat Bolton, scored 3 goals, you know, a bit more confident. Hopefully we can get a draw, maybe sneak a win even. We did all right against them here, but they look like a really good team, and then we made a couple of mistakes, and that cost us points really. So I think we need to be tighter tonight and just you know, keep it at nil for as long as possible.
You'll be hoping that we can get a decent run of form from Michael Owen, and we need Michael to play at least, you know, 10, 15 games without being injured, without being substituted, and we need him to get back into the groove and do what he does best, which is put the ball in the back of the net.
Well, it's all hinging on who he brings in really. I think everyone realises that, especially him. We obviously need like 3 or 4 like good quality experienced players, and the ones he's mentioned so far seem to be, you know, quite decent. I still think we need an experienced centre half. We could do with a striker, a couple of midfielders, but I'm sure he's working away, making sure he gets some people in.
Fans have got to be patient and realise that Rome wasn't built in a day, and that if you want to have a successful team, then a manager has to come in and be given a chance. And I think Sam Allardyce is, is on the right track. But whether he's given the time, only Mike Ashley and Chris Morton know the answer to that.
Another year, another manager. Sam's gone. Start the hunt for the right man. It's 2-0 for Harry, too soon for Alan. What about Sparky? Well, come back, Kevin. The legends, the professionals, the observers, all the big opinions are here on Soccer Night. Hello again. Only North East football could have two managers fighting relegation, but the one who gets the boot is in mid-table. Sam Allardyce couldn't give Newcastle fans what they wanted. Now United's new owner Mike Ashley has the chance to show he can. We'll get the views of Soccer Night's John Beresford, who was part of the Kevin Keegan era that set the club's standards. Kevin Ball and Colin Cooper will give us a wider perspective. Well, let's go straight to John. Have Newcastle done the right thing?
I think they have, on one condition, that they've actually tapped up, probably the wrong word, but actually spoken to the person they think is going to replace Sam. You can't just sack a manager and then go, all right, now what do we do? So it's just all now, who is going to replace Sam? Yeah, I can go down the road what people have said, Sam Allardyce wasn't given enough time and everything else. The point of it is the club hasn't gone forward since Mike Ashley's took over, and he's decided to make a big change, and Sam's going to, as I say, he'll feel a bit, he'll feel down on the situation of it. He hasn't been able to achieve what he wanted to do at Newcastle.
I feel a lot richer, that's for certain. Kevin, were you stunned?
I was actually, yeah. One of my mates texted me to say that he'd been given this sack, so straight on the text to have a look, and I must admit I was surprised. Yeah, I can appreciate what John's saying there, but it'll be interesting to see who they do look to bring in, and you'd like to think they have got something sorted out ready, because they don't want too long in between.
Colin, you've always spoken highly of Sam in the past, so you were amazed?
Very. I mean, we sat here last week and said to have any success at any football club, you must be given time. I think the owners are well within the rights to do what they want to do, but I think John's point is absolutely spot on. Don't do it unless you've got a contingency plan, and you would suggest there's a contingency plan.
Only time will tell that one. Well, getting rid of Sam Allardyce certainly stunned everyone then, so no shortage of views on Tyneside today. We've gathered together some of the more informed opinions.
He's the last part of Freddie Shepherd's dynasty, I suppose. Mike Ashley and Chris Morton have come into the club, and they were basically given a manager. They didn't have a chance to choose their own manager.
Judging by his reaction when he was interviewed, he was obviously very surprised as well, but it's a strange industry at the moment.
I just wonder whether this would be the kind of thing that would stir the juices of Mourinho. I think it would. Martin Yao, I've got a lot of time for Martin.
Fans have been arguing amongst each other, not just in pubs before the match, but actually on the terraces at home and away, and it hasn't been a great atmosphere.
The one I would have liked, and I think he could do it, is Alan Shearer. But I think Alan, I think people say he's got no experience. Well, that's a nonsense, because Keegan came to Newcastle after being 8 years out of the game. Didn't need experience, just played good, had respect, got good players. And all you need as a manager, you just need to attract good players. All this stuff about tactics and all the rest, a lot of rubbish. All you need is good players, and they'll go and they'll play attractive football and usually win as well.
I still say a lot of it's down to the Kevin Keegan reign. Keegan was in, we played some fantastic football, it was exciting times. Everybody enjoyed watching that, and we're still suffering a Kevin Keegan hangover.
Pressure inside of there is enormous. But not just on the manager, it's on the players and it's on everybody else. And believe me, Mike Ashley and Chris Moore, they know, they feel that pressure, and they know that they've got to do something very big and very comprehensive and very quickly.
Well, the rest of the country sitting there saying it's a poison chalice, John. Go with that, do you?
Not at all. I think it's absolute biggest load of rubbish. I think it's a fantastic job to have. the confusion I had with Sam Allardyce, and which I've said on the show many times, it's not the defeats he had, it was in the manner that he got beat. He was a little bit too negative. It was more hoping to win rather than going for the win. And I think if you go with the mentality of understanding what it's like up in the northeast, yes, Newcastle were spoiled under Kevin Keegan. I don't think it'll ever come back like that, but you can. I mean, Bobby Robson found a way to entertain and get results. And I just think if he'd have understood, he should have enough people around him to understand what the mentality be. If he'd have opened the game up a little bit, it's easy in hindsight for me to say, but I've been saying it for so long now, it's not a difficult thing to do. He would have won more games and he would have been given the time he would. The problem what he's got is, yeah, the fans have turned. I thought it was dead and buried when the fans were singing, "You don't know what you're doing," against Liverpool. They didn't have a... So now, as Malcolm said, they have to now get this decision right. We've said it 1,001 times before, but if you pick a manager now, you have to give him a chance that he can succeed, and with time. And then the criteria is who would be given time as a Newcastle manager.
Of course, we're in the middle of the season at the moment. Nigel Pearson's in temporary charge. You've done that job, Kevin, caretaker manager.
Yep.
What sort of position has Nigel got? How tough is that?
Very difficult, because obviously he doesn't know himself probably what the future holds. Doesn't know if a new man's going to come in. He's going to be part of that backroom staff. But I think what's important from Nigel's point of view, though, that, you know, the so-called cliche, steady the ship and just make sure the players are mentally and physically prepared for the next game, which is it Man United, I think? That's a nice easy one for him, isn't it? Like, you know.
But the thing for me though, Bully, as well, he's not under a lot of pressure.
Well, yeah, you say, I mean, yeah, all right, in some respects, no, but I think in terms of his own pride and that, he'll want him to go out there and get a result.
Exactly.
And I think
no problem. I just want to get an opinion now from a man who's followed Newcastle through every manager since Joe Harvey. John Gibson has seen 16 different men in charge during his time covering United, the Evening Chronicle. And John knows above anyone that's far too many big stories for one club.
Yes, Newcastle have changed the manager far too frequently to get consistent success. But if you're going to stick with a manager, it's got to be the right manager. This was the wrong manager for Newcastle, the wrong manager for Ashley.
What do you think Sam got so wrong then?
I think he brought the Bolton attitude and the Bolton tactics to Newcastle United. He played players out of position regularly. He picked teams with fear to not lose rather than to win, and his signings in the transfer market have been questionable. Apart from that, he did absolutely brilliant.
Right, that's the easy bit we've done, which is talk about what's gone wrong. The hard bit is, what do you do now?
He's got to be the right man for the next 3 to 5 years, without a shadow of a doubt. Get it wrong, change the manager again, and everybody's a laughing stock. What is being said privately is that the new manager who is earmarked, doesn't mean they'll necessarily get him, but is earmarked, is British, has Premier League experience and is currently with the club. It eliminates Alan Shearer, who has greatly been thought of amongst fans, because the hierarchy in Newcastle don't believe you can bring a rookie in and he will be a success straight away as a manager. Of course, we know that is possible because it happened with Kevin Keegan, who had never and was sensational, and that's how a lot of people have seen Shearer as the next Kevin Keegan.
If Alan Shearer stood up on the telly and said, "I'd like the job and you were the chairman," would you give it to him?
I think I would at this stage, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't think this chairman is going to do that. I would do it, and I would like to say, if you're not going to go with Shearer, who are you going to go and who's going to do it better? Because one thing would be certain, Newcastle United will play with passion if Shearer is involved.
Thanks to the famous Strawberry for their hospitality. Gibbo, great value as ever. It's Shearer for Gibbo. Is it Shearer for you, John?
Yeah, it is. I know experience. No, he knows the place inside out, and I think he would be a success. I'm guaranteed to be. I'll even guarantee it. The club would improve, not a problem. So, you know, people talk about who would he bring with him. I don't care. Just get him in. And I know he would talk to the fans, and he would be given time, guaranteed time, and that's the difference.
Is that what it's about, getting a bond with the fans? Kevin Keegan had it, Sir Bobby Robson had it, Ruud Gullit didn't, Kenny didn't, Graham Souness didn't, Sam didn't. Get that bond with the fans.
I can remember when Ruud Gullit came up here and someone said, "Do you think he'd be a success up here?" And I said at the time, not for me to say such, but I said, no, I don't think he will, because I don't think he'll understand the people of the North East and what's expected of him and his team and have empathy with them. And obviously Shearer's got that in abundance, hasn't he? And maybe he's the right man.
What about the experience issue? I want to bring Colin on this, because you work with Gareth, who is the least experienced manager in the Premier League. So Is it a factor, or are we overplaying it?
Well, I think it was Malcolm mentioned earlier on, or I think it was Bobby Moncur mentioned about good players. That's the key.
Yep.
And I think what Alan has and what Gareth has, he has a vast amount of experience at Premier League and international level. That counts for a heck of a lot in football. Okay, you need your qualifications, and that's fine, and Alan's doing them qualifications, or might have even finished now, I'm not 100% sure. But we all go along the line of getting the qualifications. What you need is a chance, and what you need is a chance over a period of time. All the people that we spoke about before, the Souness's, the Dalglishes, the Hullets, they were all from fantastic footballing backgrounds. Not right. It's Alan's job if he wants it, for me.
He ticks every box you would, other than experience, it's set up for him. It's whether he wants it or not.
What about the point that Gibbo made there, and I think this is vital though, that when whoever they bring in, they say, right, that's it now, 3 to 5 years. Don't be keen chopping and changing your manager. And I think in terms of Shearer coming in, I think this season is all going to be very difficult for him. But I think he's told, right, we want you to, to build our team now. You want this style of football. You're our man. We want to do it, and you've got X amount of time to do it. I think the fans will be out on the street having parties and everything.
Finally, John, he'd bring the passion.
Of course. I mean, the point of when you watch a game of football, I think, from a supporter's point of view, you want to be proud of the team you're watching. And all Newcastle want is the supporters want to turn up and wear the black and white shirt with pride. And I know if Alan was in charge, it would have. It'd happen.
Too true. Well, we'll turn our attention to the rest of North East football after the break. It still exists. Once again, there's another massive game coming up for Sunderland this weekend.